Hey, welcome back in the series of tutorial about advanced multiplayer sessions. So I have our project open, we had our player controller and server stuff open. We created our menu, so if we play, we have our menu spawning, so that's wonderful. We're going to add some logic in that because we want to try out if the multiplayer is enabled or not, if it already works or not. We want to try that the quick, the fastest possible. So we want to say, hey, when I click host multiplayer, I'm going to tell my owner to actually, we're going to rename that button real quick to keep a track of what we're doing. Button solo, going to copy paste that in order to be faster. So button solo, I'm going to rename that. So we're going to rename that straight from the hierarchy. Okay, we can't actually. Why can't we? Why can't I rename that from my hierarchy? So if I uncheck variable and I say, hey, that's called button solo, I can't. Okay. Button multiplayer. Okay, I can't rename anything. Why can't I? So we are going to rename that from there. Sorry, button solo, button multiplayer. Oh, maybe because you already got the name. No, I don't see why I can't rename that. Browse servers. That's called options. Oh, maybe because I used the references in the blueprints already. I don't know. Button quit. So we get everything set up on clicked and button multiplayer. I want my player controller to respond to that, so we're going to create a custom event. A custom event that says client wants to host, that is run on client, and that says that will basically perform another event. So we are passing that on the client because widgets always communicate with the clients, never with the server directly. So we always want buttons to perform an action on the client that then performs an actions wherever we want to. So that is going to be host server. I'm going to expand that. So client wants to host. Basically, it's going to say server host game. And what is that going to do? This is going to ask the game instance to create a game. So we're building the logic really quick. So I'm back on the widget on our menu. We want the menu to say, hey, host multiplayer, client wants to host. So if I hit multiplayer, it's going to say client wants to host. Client is going to ask the server to host the game. And host game is, I'm going to open the game instance. I'm going to create new events that says host game. And I know I'm going to need an input. I'm going to need a controller. So I'm just going to specify that I want player controller. That way I can pass any type of controller I need, since I have two player controllers. So this is going to be the player hosting the game. So I'm going to call that host. I know I need that parameter already. So I'm back on the controller. The controller is going to ask the game instance to host the game. So, and the parameter is ourselves, since we are a player controller. Up. So when I hit the button, it says, hey, client wants to host us the game. And what does that do? Oh, we didn't implement our plugin, the plugin I was talking about in the first video. I think I should have implemented it in the first video. I forgot it. So we're going to search for it. We want the advanced plugin session. And the first link, I believe, is going to be good. So 4.11, no, we don't want that. 4.10.4, yes, I'm on 4.10. I'm not on the last version of Unreal. Actually, I'm on 4.10.0. Oh, that might not work. Well, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to close that, close our project, save it. I'm going to download the good. I think everything I'm doing should work in 4.11. I'm not sure about 4.9. So download the plugin of your version of the good version, obviously. So I'm going to go to download that real quick. No, that doesn't contain viruses, I know for sure. So I hope it's not going to be long. Else I'll just cut that video, no matter. So give me that file. I'm going to drop that on my desktop. I'm going to decompress that. Don't know how we say in English. So we have our folder, and we want to copy that example preference. What's that? Well, we don't care. We're going to copy that advanced session folder. We're going to open our project folder, and we're going to create, and I already have a folder named plugins. If you don't, just create it at the root of your project. Create a new folder called exactly plugins. Double click that and copy paste our new plugin in that advanced sessions. And now I hope it won't explode my project. Actually, that's really not a good idea to just do that. So I'm going to make a backup real quick. Actually, I just mindlessly pressed my project shortcut, and I opened my project right away. Hopefully, nothing blew up, but that's really a bad thing. Importing a plugin of a different versions and not backing up my project, that was really stupid of me. And I could lost tons of hours of work. So, well, we copied and pasted our plugin in the plugin folder, and now we can edit plugins, and in the list of plugins we have in the end advanced session plugins. A new blueprint function to handle more advanced session operation. Wonderful. So what we need to do, well, I think we need to implement an interface on the player controller. So that's basically something that enables features made by the guy who did that. But I need to check if we also need to add an interface to our game instance, because I don't remember exactly. I'm just going to stop the video here. Okay, well, so I just checked the things we need to set up, and we have some dirty work to do. We have to reparent our game instance, but that shouldn't break anything. Just before we do that, we're going to specify that we don't want that game instance anymore, in order to avoid breaking anything. So we want the basic game instance. I basically resetted the thing. So we're going to open our game instance, and we need to reparent that to a parent game instance that the guy made. So I'm going to check that name that Modern Trail did to name the guy who did that, because he made a wonderful job. So in our class settings, we're going to reparent our game instance to something with friends in his name. So advanced friends game instance. Yes, reparent that. So I checked that that does nothing to both of the setup I'm doing does nothing for the purpose of our tutorials, but that actually enables other features that you can find in that post. So I'm going to do that just because we are supposed to do it in the setup, so I do things properly and nothing is dirty. So we need to implement an interface on our player controller. So if you don't know what an interface is, I won't cover that in that video, but basically that's something that goes into an actor or something and enables that actor to respond to events, to special events. So we're going to add advanced friends interface in our player controller handling the connection logic. So up click that and it's going to add an interface. Wonderful. We can compile, save. We can put our game instance back. So top down game instance, close that up. Everything is good. And we can go back to creating our game. So what do we want? We want to create an advanced session. Up, big node, big things. So when someone hits host multiplayer, it's going to make sure to pin our parameter to what player controller hosts that advanced session. So extra settings, make array, you have tons of stuff. Or maybe not. Uh, maybe that's not that. No, okay, all the settings are there. So on success, we're going to print something just to make sure it worked. So created, and we're going to, on failure, we're going to say failed. So I hope that's going to work. So what, use LAN. Yes, we want to use LAN. For now, we want to use LAN, always. Private connection, don't know what that is. Public connection, don't know what that is. I believe we're going to say we want two public connection. That means there can be two players on the session. Oh, my cat's coming into play, no problem. So with is dedicated server, no, we're using a listen server. So before you ask, I'm building that logic using a listen server, so not a dedicated one. What that means is one of the players is going to be the host. Use presence, don't know what it is. Anti-cheat, all of that stuff I never used. That's something he added. I didn't see that before, but I'm not going to learn what that is right now. Anyway, that sounds lovely. So let's try that. So if I hit play, up, post, my menu are not spawning anymore. Oh, oh, I'm on the wrong scene. Excuse me. So I'm going to open my outgame level. I'm going to hit play. And if the server hits host multiplayer, up, session created. And okay, and we want, I forgot something. When you create a session, you want your game instance to open a level. And what level do we want to open? Well, we want to open our outgame level. So actually I'm even going to promote that to a variable just to make sure I never misspell that. So our outgame level name, and that is called outgame level. Wonderful. So basically, if you don't hit open level, if you don't add this node, I believe the session is not really created, even if it's success. So I'm going to hit play. I'm going to host, and it's going to break. Is it? Oh, actually, it didn't. It didn't break. Oh, my client spawned on a base level. So I'm going to close that. What happened just there? Well, when you hit play, you enter a state where both players are connected, but they're not in the same sessions. So in the same session, they're not actually connected through the real network. They're connected through an artificial way used by Epic to simulate networking. So in the the first state of the connections when you play start is wrong. You can't play around the client you should never host anything with the client before the server actually created a session. Actually, that's a very bad environment to test multiplayer, but since we're going to do something really basic, I think everything is going to work properly. So, and what happened there is that when you break the artificial connection I talked about, the client is actually sent back to the initial map of our project. And you can specify that map in our project settings. So if I hit project settings and I go in map and mods, we have the game default map. That map is the first map in your game. And editor started map, obviously the map you start in when you launch your project. So actually I want to start my project in outgame level, and I want to be sent back to the outgame level as well. So if I close that and I hit play, and then the host says host multiplayer, the host is going to be sent back to the menu, to the main menu, and so is the client. So second thing we need to try out right away is when the client hits the browse multiplayer game, we're going to send him right away in the session the host created. So when I click browse online game, I'm going to create a new event in my player controller that is going to handle the join logic. So I'm going to copy paste that. I'm going to say client wants to join, server join game. So that is run on server. That is very important. Don't forget that, else it won't work. So especially since that's the client requesting something. So actually, well, no, not really, but that doesn't matter. And we want that to join. Client wants to join. That wants join game. And that wants, and on the game instance we're going to create new custom events. So I'm not saying this is supposed to be run on server, because if I do things well, this is never supposed to be run elsewhere than on server, since the game instance doesn't exist on the client. So, and you might be wondering how this window might actually be calling that event, that join event, since I just said the game instance doesn't exist on the client. That's because when I break the artificial connections using host multiplayer, that window is getting his own stuff. He's becoming a server pretty much. He gets a new game instance and he becomes the server. So he behaves exactly like that one behave. But you don't want to go into creating sessions, into creating different sessions and doing lots of stuff, because that pretty much is not a good environment to test that kind of stuff. Joining creating one session is enough for the editor mode. So we want an input. We want the guy who is going to be the one requesting to join a game. So we want a player controller for the same reason we did previously. So that is the guy who wants to join. Up, that is it. We want the guy that wants to join to call the game instance and to say, hey, I want to join. So if I join the game, I think we should do search sessions, find sessions, find advanced sessions, find sessions advanced. So joining is in two steps. One, find sessions. Two, join sessions. But we're going to do everything at once for this test. And afterwards, we're going to do one find sessions that is going to give us an array of an array of servers that are an array of sessions that are online. We're going to use that array to create a browsing list of server, and then when the client is going, when the player is going to join on one of the server, only then we are going to make him join. But for now, we're going to say find sessions. We're going to say finding failed if it fails, obviously. If it succeeds, we're going to get the first session found, and we are going to join that. Uh, is there an advanced things to do that? Advanced join session? No, okay. I suppose we're just using the regular thing. Join session. Up. That should work. On success, join session. Joiner, player controller. And that should work. That should work right away. So if I join the game. Up. That should work. So if we play, we can try it right away. I created the session. Oh, we didn't use a print. We're not going to see anything. Print. Oh, that is not going to work actually. That might not work. Since the client is teleported to the other level, that game instance disappears. Since the game instance only exists on the server, the player joining becomes a client, so maybe the game instance is disappearing. I'm just going to try out joining success. Alright, it play. Host multiplayer created. Browse online. Oh, finding fail. Alright, finding fail. Why? Because I didn't use LAN. Max result 1. Yep. So use LAN because I used LAN to create a session. I want to use LAN. This is something that we should promote to a setting that the user changes as he wishes, because maybe you want to create on full online mode, and then you're going to not promote that into a setting. You're just going to say no, this is just an online game. But for now, we're going to make our tries in LAN mode. I'm not sure why already, but I think editor mode prefers that. So that I say I want one max results. I want only one server to be searched. I don't want any filter, and I want to use LAN. So I'm going to hit play. Host multiplayer, created, browse online game, finding fail. Okay, why is the finding failing? World context object. Okay, so I don't know what that bug is. Sometimes when you get a ping and do something with that, it gives you a world context object. Don't know why. But I want the player controller, not the world context object. So that might work. Host multiplayer, browse online game. That is doing something. I feel it. I can feel it. Up, joining success. So I didn't see anything. But if I hit M, yep, that's working. Guys, we can see there is 3 players in the levels. Why is that? Because I told you the game instance keeps information from one level to another. So when we play, the game instance tells us there is 2 players. I host multiplayer, the game instance is resetted. And I can hit M. Oh, actually it's not resetted. Why is it not? Oh no, actually it's not resetted. So it didn't work, I believe. Why it didn't work? So never mind. A bad example. I need more stuff to see if it's working properly or not. So it's going to wrap up that video because I believe it's working in its states, since it's telling me it's working. We're going to wrap up that video because I believe the length is already a bit long. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have no bugs. If you do, make sure to ask in the comments how to solve them, but make sure to reproduce everything I did right before you do so. And hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.